Alright, how's it going everybody? This is Peter from the Bozeman Angler. We're going to do a quick little video on tying a soft hackle. We'll call this one the Caddis pupa. So I've pre-beaded my hook, which is a 135. I'm going to do it in a size 12, so this will be kind of your bigger Mother's Day caddis, almost a sedge, a big caddis pupa. So I've got my for a size 12, I'll do an 1/8 of an inch gold bead on it. You could do it in really any color, but we'll go ahead and start that thread behind the bead and just build up a little bit of a thread bump, wrapping towards it to kind of help lock that down. Basically keep the bead from sliding around, and then I'll bring that down the shank of the hook. Keeping those wraps really nice and consecutive, even though I'm not really quite getting them consecutive, but I'm sure you're a much better thread wrapper and you'll be really nice and diligent about it and not hit the point of that hook so you break your thread. So I got that nice little curve going here. First thing we'll do is tie in just a small piece of ultra wire. Usually for this size a brassy is going to be fine. We got some copper here, so we'll use that, but a lot of times I like gold or black. Just lay that guy, kind of use your little pinch and sneak method. Get a couple of, lost at that time, wraps around. There we go, get in there. Go to a few wraps to bring it down and then wrap it back down to that first point. It's okay if it looks gnarly and mangled at this point because we'll wrap over everything there. So let's see. Let's make this guy nice and kind of shiny and bright. So say during the Mother's Day caddis hatch, fishing kind of a off-color water on the Madison or the Yellowstone, or I guess really anywhere in the West. Let's go ahead and throw some chartreuse ice dubbing on this guy. Get that nice bright green caddis body. I'll just start with a tiny bit of dubbing. Twist my fingers one direction. And less is more, so we'll start with just a tiny little bit, and then I'm going to start wrapping it forward. And I will build up a slight taper on it, so these first few wraps can be relatively spaced out, and then I'll start wrapping a little bit more on top of itself. And you can get really pretty shaggy with this guy if you want to, because we can brush it out a little bit later. And a little bit more, keep going, build up that nice little taper. And really, if you were in a hurry, you could pretty much do this and call the fly good. I'm sure it would fish fine, but to add a little bit of durability, first throw in a nice little half hitch there. And then let's counter wrap our wire and keep that guy nice and palmered so you get a little bit of segmentation to it. It's really just adding a little bit of weight and some security. Bring that thread around. Keeping a nice tension on it. I always like having a pair of pliers around for your wires so you can ruin your nice scissors, or you can just have a pair of junky scissors for heavy materials. Throwing another half hitch there just for security. Okay, so for tying in our soft hackle, I've torn a nice little healthy feather off of my Hungarian partridge cape. And what I'm looking for is nice long hackle stems. I guess they'd be hurls technically, about the length of the hook. So size 12 I can go pretty heavy. And what I'm going to do is just with my thumb and forefinger pinch off those fluffy ones, and now I've got this little tree shape, and I'm going to grab it just by the tops there and stroke those guys down so you get a nice little perpendicular angle and a little triangle up at the top. So that's going to be my tie-in point at that separation. If I hold it in at that 45-degree angle, I can kind of just sneak my thread loosely around there until it gets nice and tight. And I don't like to pull it too tight at this point. I'll just do, 3 or 4 fairly loose wraps and trim off the end of it there. If you go real tight, then I'll have the tendency to break that stem. And then to further protect it, give it a few more wraps once it's tied in there. And then, let's see. Because these guys are so tiny, I usually have to use a hackle plier to wrap around it, but I'm really only looking for 1 or 2 wraps. So get that guy so it's totally perpendicular. And just wrap it at an angle so it sort of curves back towards the bend of your hook. And then if you get 1 wrap, then the second ones can kind of sneak in front of those. So what is that, like 1.5 or so wraps? And we'll just bring our thread around and try and sneak it in front of all those. 1 wrap, 2 lock it in place. And then trim off the rest of that guy without cutting our thread. And then let's just fold those feathers back and give it a couple more wraps to secure it. And then you could basically be done there, but to get just a little bit more fancy, a lot of those caddis pupas have sort of that black head, so you could use a black bead. But to finish it, let's take just a little scoop of this UV black, and just a tiny pinch, so we'll just build up a little collar on it. So just dub, like probably not even an inch worth of that dubbing on the thread. Fold those guys back and just wrap a couple of times around it. That's probably all I really want to do. And then it'll give it some nice little bugginess to it. If you got a little bit hanging off there, that's fine. And then just so it's secure, throw in your little tag in there, and let's do a whip finish. Call 4 turns good. Trim off that tag there. Ooh, that's gonna fish so good. And you could tie this in like pretty much any color you want. But for the caddis hatch, this bright green has been pretty awesome for me, especially on the lower Madison. But yeah, that's it. Hope that helps, guys. We'll see you soon.